In addition to their warrior skills, the Qin had another advantage as far as organization was concerned, and this was in their governing ideology. The Qin, and especially Qin Rongdi, especially the first emperor, sought to eliminate the dominant Chinese political idea, Confucianism. Under Confucianism, moderation is the highest goal. The ruler is absolute. There's no room for a right to resist in Confucius's political theory. But the ruler has duties to the ruled. The ruler must behave ethically. He must respect the traditions of the people as well as their rights. And if he does not behave with moderation, vengeance shall fall upon him, if not from the people themselves, then from heaven. He will lose the mandate of heaven. He will lose the mandate of heaven if he behaves immoderately or dictatorially. For the legalists, nothing can alienate the power of the emperor. The law created by the emperor is everything. Again, there is a distinct difference between the Chinese notion of legalism and our own notion of the rule of law. Legalism as a name may sound attractive to Americans. After all, we boast of being a nation of laws and not of men. But legalism means you'll have a single set of laws governing the entire country, and one man will be above the law. So it's not a system of laws or of men, but of man. Legalists believe in the arbitrary power of the emperor. The arbitrary power of the emperor, and no one ever exercised that power more aggressively than Qin Shi Huangdi. This is an incident during the reign. Li Su, the legalist philosopher and chancellor of the Qin state, presents a proposal to the emperor. A proposal calling for the destruction of all other works of philosophy and history that exist in China, that do not promote legalism or the history of the Qin. Destroy all other written records. And we'll see that too is a legacy of the Qin emperor. Here is an ode included in old Chinese history of the work of the grand historian Sima Qian. The common people know peace and have laid aside weapons and armor. Kinsmen care for each other. There are no robbers or thieves. Men delight in his rule, all understanding the law and discipline. Internal warfare had ended. Qin Shi Huangdi had achieved that. Famously, he collected the weapons of the local aristocrats, melted them down after the conquest was over in 221, and built monuments out of swords and spearheads. So there can be no doubt that he did achieve internal peace. But another aspect of this dictatorial rule can be seen from the same book by the grand historian. This is the proposal of Li Su. I humbly propose that all historical records, but those of Qin, be burnt. Those who in conversation dare to quote the old tales and records should be publicly executed. Those who try to use old precedents to oppose the new order should have their families wiped out. And officers who know of such cases but fail to report them should be punished in the same way. So not only should the individual be punished, his family should be wiped off the face of the earth. And thousands of deaths resulted from this policy, murderous policy of censorship. The most famous incident being the burial alive of 460 of the leading Confucian scholars in China in front of the emperor himself. Again, they're being tossed into a pit and will then be buried alive. And the burning of their books at the same time. A real destruction, a real break with the old. Burning of Confucius's books and the burning of the burial alive of the scholars who still believe in Confucius's ideals. All right. The Qin Emperor's reign is one of the most extraordinary events in Chinese history. It does create a notion of a single unified state, but it also is a legacy of arbitrary power. The great tomb, the Mausoleum of the Qin, of the Qin Emperor, is the size of a pyramid, buried inside of a mountain. It's never been fully excavated. Even today, after 35 years of work, it's never been fully excavated. It is an extraordinary monument to the technical abilities of the Chinese people, the artistic abilities of the Chinese people, but also to the megalomania of one man. In addition to the terracotta army, There are also reputed to be rivers of mercury deep under the ground of the Qin Emperor's mausoleum. It was believed in Chinese traditional medicine that mercury could thwart death, and the emperor took pills of mercury at the end of his life to try to prolong it. Didn't work, may have killed him in fact, but the belief in and the desire for immortality on the part of the Qin Emperor created literally rivers of mercury, as well as 7,500 soldiers to guard him in the afterlife. So a message of peace, but also a message of totalitarian dictatorship. And we can see the most obvious legacy of the Qin in the 20th century. China's most significant ruler of the 20th century, Mao Zedong, intentionally took the Qin Emperor as his model, because the Qin Emperor was a revolutionary. He stood against the Confucian tradition, and so did Mao Zedong. In 1972, near the end of the Cultural Revolution, Mao Zedong was quoted as saying, "He buried 460 scholars alive. We have buried 46,000. You revile us for being Qin Shi Huangs. You are wrong. We have surpassed Qin Shi Huang 100-fold." So the legacy of the Qin Emperor has had positive repercussions in Chinese history, but also the most extraordinarily negative ones in its belief in everything depending on the power of one man. And this reality should always be balanced with the wonderful artistic achievements of the terracotta soldiers. You should remember this statement about Qin Shi Huangdi as much as you should remember his mausoleum.